It's your boy Crypto Blood, and welcome to another Kicking It session. Today, I got my man Grayson Ludo. Sounds like a rapper, Italian rapper or something. My man, how you doing, man? I met Grayson on Twitter. I think he follows me on YouTube as well, right?
Yeah.
But cool cat, he reached out to me. He saw I was Twitter beefing with JSnip4. And he's like, yo, let me come on. I want to talk to you about this and that. I'm like, hey, anyone that wants to come on, have a conversation, I'm game. And we got him on today, guys. So we're going to be talking about a few different things, not just crypto. Garrison is in the automotive industry, more on the sales side. And we're going to get all into that, man. I'm a car guy myself. I was just racing a Hellcat the other night on I won't say what road, but yeah, man, let's get right into it, man. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Grayson, where you come from, what led you to crypto, all that good stuff, and we'll get into the automotive too.
So, originally, family comes from Hazard, Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky. We're some very humble coal miners. I was born in the Chicago area, about an hour north of Chicago, Lake County. For about my first 12 summers, though, I spent down in the mountains. So I do have a pretty good hillbilly background, if you will, there.
Okay.
But it's kind of funny when I come across people and they hear me talk, they're like, man, for a white guy, even though I'm Native American, they talk about my ebonics, if you will. And
wait, you're Native American?
Yes, sir.
Oh, my God. And listen, don't do this. Ain't no Elizabeth Warren stuff we got going on. You're not like 0.0001% Native American, are you? Come on now.
No, I'm actually up in the 40%. My family's part of the Southeast Kentucky Shawnee. My uncle Harlan, he's head of the Eagle clan.
Wow.
We have some official stuff. We're legit.
That's what's up, bro. That's what's up.
I'm not here. We ain't getting reparations from the government. I'm not getting it might help me with some college. That's about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But no, I don't run around no Pocahontas and no shit like that. I don't mess with Elizabeth Warren at all, man. But I look. People always confuse me for being Italian or Greek, especially.
Yeah, I thought you were Italian, man.
Yeah, not at all. And anyway, my mom and my grandmother moved up to Chicago area when my mom was about 14. My mom had me fairly young. She came up here when she was 12. She had me at 14, and from there, had a little bit of a rough upbringing. I lived off the state, lived in some projects, believe it or not. A lot of people wouldn't realize that about my past. But since then, man, I've had some really awesome life-changing opportunities. Right out of high school, I went to the Navy. I had a very good career there. Had an unfortunate death in the family in which I got an administrative separation. My father owned a body shop, and he had a lot of his business came from new car lots, used car lots, lot damage, things of that nature. My dad's best friend at the time was a gentleman by the name of Jerome Witt, who was running a Chevy store out here in Fox Lake, Illinois. So after I got discharged out of the military, I went and I tried to sell cars, and it kind of worked out for me. Just having the gift of gab, growing up in the streets in the neighborhood, it made things a little bit easier on me, and my career kind of took off. From 97 to about 1999, I sold cars. In 1999, I went over to Grosvenor Chevy in Palatine, Illinois, with another group of managers, and I got into sales management. And we took that dealership from 98 cars a month to 503 cars a month, and made it the number one improved Chevy store in the Midwest. December of 2005, we were the number one store in the Midwest for all of Chevy new car and truck sales. From there, I kind of went out on my own and was a used car director, used car manager for a Chrysler Pontiac store for several years. And then in May of 2007, you don't know about this about me, crypto, but I became a professional mixed martial artist. And
cool.
Yeah, and then I fought full time under out of my main gym was Midwest Training Center. Big names that have come out of there. The biggest has been Clay Guida before he went over to Greg Jackson's. I grew up with his older brother, so it's not no
Okay.
superstar stuff with me. I've known a lot of these guys for a while. So I fought professionally, had a really good career. Unfortunately, had some injuries. My hand's 2/3 titanium now because of it. And, yeah, I had an ACL surgery and things of that nature. So in 2013-14, I was supposed to have a title fight for the American Predator Fight Championship here in the Midwest. And what was that? Supposed to fight March 9th, I believe it was. And February 24th, I ruptured all the cartilage in my right knee and had my 4th surgery in 5 years. And
Wow.
at that point, I thought it was time to grow up and get a real job and go back to work.
Right.
Luckily, because of what I accomplished in the auto industry as a manager, and I had some really good contacts, I went right back to work in management in 2013 as a subprime finance manager, running a subprime department at Ray Chevy in Fox Lake, Illinois. We
Okay.
increased an additional 80 units a month, and with some really amazing profit, running about $3,700 a car. So things were really good, and then from there, I
So
went from.
So tell me how you what did you, before we circle back into that
Yeah,
whole subprime automotive,
yeah.
what got you intrigued with cryptos and who really introduced you to that whole industry, that
So
whole game?
Yeah, so back in about 2012, I was still fighting at the time, or 2012, I was still fighting at the time. And, to supplement my income, I own 2 construction companies
Okay.
doing storm mitigation, things of that nature, nothing special. And what do you call it? I was supposed to fight that March going into 2013 for my title fight. In February, I tore out of a cartilage in my knee and had to have surgery. So at that time, I ended up being a stay-at-home dad
Mm-hmm.
from the year of 2012. And to be honest with you, I didn't understand the gratification and how big it was for my son and what it would do for him and for me as a
Mm.
parent relationship. But at the time, because I've always been an earner, it was driving me nuts. So I started spending a lot of time on YouTube just searching for information. And
Mm-hmm.
that's actually when I had my big wake up about the government, Federal
Yep.
Reserve. And during that time, because that downtime, I used it to continue education. And that's actually where I stumbled across Jason at 4. Some of the stuff that he talked about at the time with the government, and
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
then and then that's how I got introduced to the Webbot Report and Cliff High,
Yep.
and studying that, and then that's where the cryptos came in. And back in 2012, I had about 10 grand I wanted to spend on Bitcoin and Litecoin. And at the time, I had met a mentor that was trading on Wall Street. Well, actually, but prior to 2008, he had 25 guys trading for him downtown
Mm-hmm.
at the Chicago Board of Exchange.
Mm-hmm.
He became a mentor of mine, and he actually talked me out of buying the Bitcoin and the
Mm.
Litecoin.
Mm.
And he's still been kicking himself in the ass since then. But shortly after that, I started trading cryptocurrencies. And just, it was kind of tough with being in the automotive industry and working at these high volume dealerships. Literally, blood. I get up at 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning, be at the dealership at 8:30 in the morning, and most of the time I did not leave the dealership between 11:30 and 12:30 at night. And I generally have about a 45-minute to an hour and a half drive, depending on some of the stores that I've worked at. So I'm working 70 hours a week. It made it really hard to keep up with what was going on in the crypto space, as well as follow some of the influencers. So from 2012 to about the middle of 2017, I was just kind of, as a parent going through the motions, focusing on my career. I had an
Mm-hmm.
income well over, $200,000. So that was, that was my bread and butter. That was my main point. And then to be quite honest with you, my wife had fallen sick in the beginning of 17, and that had
Mm.
taken a lot of my focus. And that's when Jay Snip had his big hit on Veritasium.
Yeah.
And man, was I kicking myself in the ass, because I was pretty faithful watching a lot of these videos in the Webbot, and when
Yep.
my wife was sick, in between my career taking off, just exploding, and being very successful at the stores I was at and what I was achieving, that and my wife's health had my main focus, obviously with my kids as well.
Yep.
And um, what do you call it? So I missed the boat there, and I really started to focus on cryptos again, big
Good.
time, about November of 17. Made some good money from November to January, and then 18. It's been the sell off. I've basically just been following the institutional money. I got involved in a bit in a Bitcoin mining operation you might be
Mm-hmm.
familiar with, called Bit Club. That has actually been amazing. It's been an amazing company. They got a lot of stuff going out, and I have a lot of money invested there. I have 30 different mining accounts of my own. with the network that I built there.
I know Jobby Weeks. I've had him on my show, actually.
Yeah. Joby's pretty cool. He's going to be speaking in Acapulco here coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And
Are you going out there? Are you going to be able to make it?
No,
Okay.
right now we have a lot of stuff going on. My biggest thing over the last couple of years, because of my dad's retiring, has been studying wealth and retirement. Now, I've learned how to make money, but generating income is a lot different than generating wealth, and I don't think a lot of people understand the difference there.
Yeah.
And so for the last 6 months of my life, I have been really just doing the best I can to educate myself on generating wealth. I've been fortunate enough to find a couple of mentors. One of the guys, Ricardo Ferrari, he's part of Big Club. He's been network marketing for about 28 years. And at one point, he had over 853,000 salesmen under him in one of the companies. He's a multi-million-dollar earner, marketing million-dollar earner. And, he's been mentoring me and teaching me a lot. And I've been very fortunate to have him and a couple other people, some guys that are in the car business and that are doing better than I am, of course. And, so I've been really focused on that. And as part of what we're doing, we hooked up with a company that does no collateral, no recourse loans. And I myself am in the process of doing some funding because, as you learn from Robert Kiyosaki, Donald Trump, Grant Cardone, some of the top mentors in the world, and you find out that these guys have leveraged themselves into millions by using their credit score. And what I mean by that is by utilizing debt to go into real estate or other.
That's right. That's Robert Kiyosaki's big selling point. That's what he tries to drive home all the time, is that debt is actually good utilized in the right way, not to go buy bling bling or a TV, but
Well, you think about it. There's three types of income earners in the world today. You have your low echelon, your middle class, and your upper class, and it's all the way they spend stuff. Your low income earners, sure, they're making 40, 50 grand a year, but when you walk into their house, they have stuff. They have all the stuff in the world: PlayStations, Xbox, big TVs, smart TVs, iPhones, all the shoes, Jordans, you name it. We got those people. We grew up in those neighborhoods. You know what I mean? And then you have where we're at right now. And people like us, and I'm learning about this, we want to buy motorcycles and side-by-sides and firearms or jet skis or crotch rockets or, a Hellcat, things that cost money that continue to have expenditures to maintain them.
Correct. And depreciate.
Exactly. And, here, I had a family member drop $165,000 on a swimming pool. Beautiful, badass. It only gives him, another 20% to his house. That's not a really good ROI at all. Sure, it feels good. It's nice to go sit in the swimming pool with the relatives, but the return on his money is shit.
Right.
And
I like what Grant Cardone said, man, and this really stuck with me, man. He was like, live where you rent and own where I don't know if I'm saying it right, but essentially live where you rent and own what you rent.
Yes.
Or
100% correct.
Yeah.
Like right now, okay, I have I got some money coming in from some funding that I'm getting ready to do. In the next 60 days, I'll have a passive income of about $60,000, or about $8,000 a month, so about $72,000 a year while I'm sleeping. That's just with two different investment vehicles, not including my trading or anything else I do. And now think about that. If I want to go, I have family in Florida, I have family in Vegas. There's other hubs where you can go and make money, right? I'm hooked up with Ken Bozak, and I'm going to be going out to Philadelphia with some meetups and throwing some stuff out with him as far as some Bitcoin things as well. And now, if I'm tied to my house, right, and I have my mortgage, I'm responsible for that. I'm committed to that. I had to put 20% down. I got to fix the water heater, the washer, the dryer, when the humidifier leaks, all these things, right? I'm responsible for that. I'm tied to that. If I want to go and spend time in Florida by my sister or down in Vegas by one of my brothers and try to grow more business, do some more network marketing, it makes it really hard because I am completely obligated to my house. Now, once I rent this out, which I plan on doing in the next 6 to 12 months, and then renting where I live, I do a 6-month lease. I can get up and leave whenever I want. Sure, my overhead, I'm spending a little bit more money than I want to, but I don't got to worry about the water heater. I ain't got to worry about the roof. I ain't got to worry about the garbage disposal. And when I want to pick up and leave, I can. And that gives me, and that's the one thing that we focus on, and that guys like us are learning more about, is the commodity of time.
That's right.
Cardone had a video the other day, and he's talking about how you get 4 hours worth of shit done in a half an hour. You delegate. You have people do it for you, and that gives you the time. And when you're trading your time for a paycheck, for a career, for an income, for what people consider to be their passion, they don't become rich. 96% of people cannot retire, because of that. And when you're able to delegate, or when, I just recently, let me back up, Grant Cardone, he has a lot of stuff about white space on your calendar. If you have blank spaces on your calendar, that's a negative thing in some areas because you want to stay busy, right? Now, just recently, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett had a little bit video of why having your calendar full is actually stupid. And I sat back and I listened to it because that's directly everything different that I've learned from Grant Cardone and some of the other guys. And when I listened to what Warren Buffett had to say, it wasn't an aha moment. I already knew it. I just didn't have it in the forefront of my mind, right? And what I mean by that is, so here, if I'm in the car business, right, and I'm working 15-hour days, I don't have no time to study cryptos. I don't have no time to have wealth education. I don't have no time to meet, find, and talk to mentors, right? I unfortunately, because of my wife's illness, I had to quit my job, say July. I was making a little over $200 a year. I'm used to making $3,000 to $5,000 a week. That's a lot of fucking money. Yeah. Now, at the same token, what I've been able to learn and get involved in Bit Club, and the time I've spent with Ricardo Ferrari and learned about Facebook marketing and being able to get into this joint venture agreement that I'm getting into, had I continued to be working, sure, my income was great, but now I'm positioning myself to where in the next 3 to 5 years, I'm going to make $2 to $10 million.
So the thing is, what you're doing, Grayson, is you're breaking the time for money paradigm. Yes. And that's what many middle class people don't understand. And so, I'm in tech, right? I've had 2 tech startups myself, and just seeing how fast these guys scale up and are able to generate money, whether it's a SaaS model, it just allows you to break that time for money paradigm. And I think that's the key to real wealth nowadays in this type of economy that we're in, this digital economy, global economy. If you can break that time for money paradigm where you as a person, you don't have to be at that dealership managing those individuals. You can be at home. You can be taking care of your wife, your kids, or whatever that is that you need to do and still make money. That's where you're able to really grow your business and take it to the next level.
Oh no, 100%. And here, man, we all put our pants on one leg at a time. I grew up a little bit rough. I lived off the state. Things weren't good in my childhood. And luckily, I was a decent athlete, and I had a coach. Me and a friend of mine were talking about it. His name was Mr. McAvoy. I think it was either my 7th or 8th grade gym teacher. He was one of my basketball coaches. And, he knew I was poor. I had to wear my mom's clothes to school at times. Things were a little rough. And I remember one day before a basketball game, we were playing against a big team, and he looked at me and he was like, "Look, man, we all put our pants on one leg at a time, man. When you put your uniform on, you're just like everybody else. Nobody knows where you come from." And now think about that with money, man. Everybody could do the things that I've done or what you do. It's you go to work every day. You have a 9 to 5. You're making your 70 to 90 grand a year. You're maybe save 10, 15 grand. You have a new a mutual fund, some 401k. Sure, you feel like you're doing something, but you're not going to retire. You're not going to have anything for retirement. And what these mentors teach you is to find a way to generate a passive income when you're sleeping. And continue to work on that passive income till it meets you or exceeds your income. Once it meets or exceeds your income, now you have net operating costs that you can take that money and put it to work and let it grow for you. And if you do that and you take the time to research it, and like Gary Vee, he has a really awesome video. I think it's called like 6 minutes for 60 years of your life. And he talks about a lot of people that are, in their 40s or 50s, the kids get out of the house and they go buy the convertible. You take 50 grand and you go buy a convertible. Well, Robert Kiyosaki would tell you, take that 50 grand, stick it into an investment vehicle that's going to pay off your car in 3 years, and then you still have the asset that's giving you an income.
So, the one thing I want to say that I like what you said just a minute ago is that you were listening to Warren Buffett, and his idea of the calendar being empty conflicted with your boys, Grant Cardone's. But that's what I like, and this is what is key that I think people should understand. You should not just rely on one person for all the answers. you're going to be able to grab from Grant Cardone, grab from Gary V, grab from a Warren Buffett, and apply some of those principles in your own life to make up what is successful for you. And so that's key. I think people kind of miss that. They like follow Robert Kiyosaki and only what he says is right, and that's it. He's wrong sometimes as well, but you can take things from Robert Kiyosaki, things from Warren Buffett, Grant Cardone, and really build something nice.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of people are I posted a meme not too long ago. I forget what it said. Something to the effect of, we're in a world of information, but we're starving for wisdom.
Yeah, and that's the application of information.
Exactly, and that's exactly where I was going with it.
Yeah.
But I've never been the smartest guy in the world, man. I've done a lot of dumb shit, to tell you the truth. But I've done things that make me look smart. And what was that? It's execution. It's the way that I've been able to apply what I've learned and instantly put it to work. And that's kind of what has separated me, I think, from some of the guys I grew up with. I grew up with a lot of guys in the streets. We grew up a little bit rough, euphemistically speaking. And I've completely outgrown most of my relationships. I think I have maybe 4 people that I talked to that I knew prior, to high school. And that's because they've all grown as well. And that's exactly it, is the application of the knowledge and what you learn. And most people are just paralyzed by fear. Nobody wants to get, uncomfortable. Growing up in the streets, man, I can tell you stories. Guys were doing things, they were risking their freedom, taking so many chances, living on the edge. And then when we become adults, when it comes time to invest or time to commit to a strategy, I've talked to a few people about investing in Bit Club, and that it's a long-term retirement plan. And, you got guys that'll go spend $3,000 on a vacation, but they won't spend $3,000 on a mining machine. It doesn't make sense to me. I haven't had a vacation in 5 years because I want to retire in the next 3.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my thing is everyone won't get it. I understand that, but at least you put it out there and you hope that you plant the seed, someone will grab onto it and it'll grow from there. We were talking about Robert Kiyosaki, and I brought up on the screen here the 4 business quadrants. Or the 4 quadrants, and this is something I live by right here, man. And I'm really working with my family to get them understanding this whole paradigm here, from going from an employee to being self-employed to being a business owner, and ultimately you want to be a business owner and an investor. That's where we all should strive to be. And go ahead.
No, and you're right. And I talk to a lot of people. So I've had a lot of people that want to be self-employed, and I'd love to talk about that for a second. I have a good friend of mine, Matt DeVikas, who does very, very well for himself in the auto industry. They're into real estate and a few other different business ventures, and he's kind of a mentor of mine. We talk once in a while, and we've talked about people that have left the car business to go open up a restaurant or to go chase their dreams, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I encourage you to. But something that I've learned from Grant Cardone is that when you go to open up a business and say it's a retail sales, you're going to sell pizzas or you're dealing with the public, you'll say, okay, if I can generate X amount of dollars per month, I'll have this income, I'll have this lifestyle. But what we don't learn is, how many people do I have to talk to get to X? How many phone calls do I have to make to be able to sell 10 of this? What's the ratio? Really, you're going to have to talk to 100 people to sell 10 items when you're starting off with a new business. And a lot of people don't take into consideration how much work. You go open up a pizza place and you wanted to own your own business so that way you can get away from the corporate world. Okay, well, that happens sometimes, and now you're working 10, 12 hours a day to make $100,000 a year. Now you're right back. You're not seeing your family, and you can't afford to hire somebody with the increased cost of healthcare, taxes, and all these different things. So now you got to run your own business full time.
Right, and you're stuck in that S. You're stuck as a self-employed individual, which is in many cases can be worse than just working for someone, because you know what I mean? Like,
my dad's owned a body shop forever, and my dad's had amazing cash flow because there's a lot of cash business, buying and flipping cars and things of that nature, right? My dad, because he owned his own business, and he's from the old school, right, where I don't think like this, but my dad's like, I'm not going to have a pension, I'm not going to have a retirement. my dad's big thing is if he doesn't sell his building for X amount of dollars to put X amount of money into an annuity, so that way he can get, you know, $50,000 to $70,000 annually while he's retired, which is awesome. It's a great idea for him. But right now at 42, the last thing I'm thinking about is a pension or a Social Security, because
Yeah, that ain't happening.
They're going to cut it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so that's where you got to generate your real dollars. And, you know, going back to the business owner mind state, right? You could be a business owner and an employer, right? But now as that business owner, you have to find a way to have a passive income to make money while you're sleeping, so you can get to that investment side. Now, if you're an employer and you're self-employed and you're an investor, over time, that investment could grow to the point where you could be a business owner and not be self-employed, meaning now you have enough income coming in as the investor through passively that your self-employed business isn't your sole stream of income. Now you can hire a couple people to go and run that business. Now you're a business owner. Now you have the commodity of time to go find other things that you're passionate about to invest in.
Ah, you said it there. Commodity of time. And time, people, is the most valuable thing we have as humans on this earth. So that's what I try to focus on, man. How can I do things in a way where I have the more commodity, more time. That's the most valuable thing. We can't get any of it back. It only spins out. So I'm with you with that, man. I've always looked at trying to do businesses where I can still keep time on my side to be able to do other things, do research, learn more. If you're tied down to one thing and that's taking up your whole, everyone's got 24 hours, you know, we got the same 24. It's just how you decide to spend it. So I'm with you on that, bro.
Buddy, it's so true, man. You know, there's been times where you know, in 2013 when I went back to work, right? You know, I had been off out of the car business for about 7 years, and I was surprised when I made a phone call to one of my mentors and said, "Hey, I want to get back to work." They put me right back in management, which I thought that was pretty awesome. I went back and I worked 90 days, 10-hour days without taking a day off to get that up and running. That fourth month, I made $17,000. So yeah, you got to put that time in. But now at the same token, right, I've worked so frantically that I now realize that if I don't take time to have some hours to myself to do nothing, and I don't necessarily mean nothing, but put my day into perspective, to plot my goals, to take short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals. If you stay so busy, your calendar is so full that you don't have the time to focus, to put these things into perspective, to do your to-do list, to do your daily priorities, to remap your life every 90 days and see where you're going, it makes it really, really hard to get anywhere. And when you're focused on, you know, like here, I live up in what we call the Chain of Lakes area, right? There's on the water, there's $1 million homes 2 blocks off the water in Section 8. It's crazy, right? And you have a lot of people that have $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 boats. You know, you go out on the boat for a weekend, it's $200 in gas. Man, I go out on the chain probably twice a month. I have a couple buddies that have boats, doctor friends of mine. We go hang out. Now, and when I'm out there, I always go and I see the same people that are out there every weekend, you know, Facebook pictures and things of that nature. And here, man, if you're in the middle class and you're self-employed and you got a good income, but you're buying a $150,000 boat, you are not going to be rich, man. You got to find that money and put it to work and let it grow for you. Take time back, take some time off of having the fun, take some time off of having a vacation, and put some money to work so that way it can be greater later when you hit 50, 60, 70 years old. And
I just heard, my wife just told me that, she told me this last night. She said that the baby boomers are now projected to live to like 100 and in their hundreds or something. It's something crazy. And I said, man, that's a damn shame. Because what that means is most of them will run out of money.
Buddy, 100%. So you look at your top financial retirement people, they're going to tell you AARP is going to say you need $1.5 million in retirement. Man,
that ain't going to work, bro.
I'm going to call foul ball. Let's say right now, if you're 20 years old, and you saved $100,000 a year for 30 years, you got $3 million, right?
And we know, ain't no 20-year-old gonna be able to save $100,000.
Right now, but in a perfect world, right?
Right, in a perfect world.
We got about 2 million. And then with the way they print U.S. dollars with fiat currency.
Now you're talking.
You see what I mean? Here, here, just look at Bitcoin, right? Where Bitcoin's current price is today, right now, from January of 2012, it's roughly a 96,000% return on your money, right? Now, in that same time, if you had $1 million in the bank, you lost about 14% of your value, $140,000 in buying power, just because of manipulation of fiat currency.
There you go. Absolutely.
You know, that's a loser's game.
Yeah, man. And so, you know, you kind of bring up the whole crypto thing. I think that cryptocurrencies, and I said this in a video I did the other day, it's a new asset class that has no correlation with the current systems that we're accustomed to. Your stocks, your bonds, your real estate. It's no correlation, which is good, because when things hit the fan, you're going to see a lot of capital flow into this new asset class that has no correlation.
Here's what I try to talk to people about, Blood. Real simple, man. I'm a math guy. I don't care about the FUD, the FOMO. You know, the news does drive things, but I'm a math guy.
Short term. It does short term, but not long term. FOMO can, you know, the FUD can only do so much.
Exactly. And, you know, I'm a people person. You know, I've made my bread and butter in my career in the automobile industry. You know, you as a salesman, I get maybe 1 or 2 hours with you to try to get you to buy a vehicle. As a finance manager, when you walk in the finance office, I got 10 minutes to sell you a warranty, wheel, tire, make money on the interest rate, and anything else I could do. The profit center in a dealership is the finance department. That's where all the profit's at, for those of you that and we'll get to that later, I'm sure, in a few. But, wow, shit, I forgot where my point was going with this, crypto. What were we just talking about here? Brain fart.
I mean, we were just talking about, like, the inflation and Bitcoin and cryptos, and how, you know, it's going to hedge you against that with this new asset class. I don't know if that trigger anything.
That happens sometimes. I'm a little bit punchy. I've been punched in the face a lot as a professional fighter.
It's all good. No, it's all good.
It happens to me from time to time. And I got a little traumatic brain injury, I think.
A little CTE. Got a little CTE going on there.
Yeah, and it could be the Nuggets from time to time. You know, that might get me once in a while.
Oh, man.
Hanging out with Bozak, you know.
Right. So yeah, man. I mean, you know, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's good that we're talking, and guys, let's just let you guys know this is all off the cuff. This is freestyle. This is just me and Grayson talking, man. He hit me up, and you know, we said definitely let's link up and do some things. And here we go. We're having a great conversation here.
Well, I know a big basis of what we were going to talk about too was a little bit about the automobile industry.
Yes, I wanted to get into that. So tell me about, what do you see on the ground level right now? My concern right now is subprime market, whether it's in real estate or even automotive. Like, what are you're close to that. What are you seeing? Is it starting to crash? Is it starting to crumble?
Here, certain areas of the country are going to be affected more than others. And what I mean by that, so say your Chicago market. The Chicago market for the Midwest, for the auto industry, is the toughest. It's the most competitive there is. The guys, you know, here, like finance department, your average per copy, which is your profit per vehicle sold, is roughly $900 to $1,100. In Chicago, you got to average $1,200 to get a job, and if you ain't running $1,400 to $1,700, you ain't going to keep your job long. Okay, so anywhere in the rest of the country, you're going to start seeing it first. So up here where I'm at, I don't see it as much, but now some of the high volume stores have fallen off. Profits are nowhere near what they used to be on the front end of a vehicle. Ever since 2008, a lot of it is a race to the bottom with advertising, specifically in the Chicago area. A lot of people I've had people come up from North Carolina, Detroit, Iowa, Indiana, Ohio to buy cars in Chicago because
we come up. I'm in the D. We come up there to Chi-Town all the time to get cars. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's because I'm used to high volume stores. I've never worked in a store that sold less than 300 cars a month.
Gotcha.
And for me, that's just where the money is, but that's also where the shenanigans are. You know, you can't take a dealership from 100 cars a month to 500 cars a month in a few years without stepping on toes and breaking laws. It just ain't happening.
Yeah.
You know, as kids, you know, we did a lot of kinky advertising, but we didn't know we were doing that. You know, one summer we got fined $90,000 over the course of 3 months for advertising, but we didn't know what we were doing. And the guy we were working for didn't care. When he got a lawsuit, Gary Grossinger, and they're completely out of the auto industry now. Their family had such a bad name they had to sell out. But Gary Grossinger was the type of owner, in my personal opinion. When he got a lawsuit, he was like, "Yeah, I got something to fight on. Yeah, I got something to work on." You know?
Oh wow.
So, yeah. I mean, there's some people that are just like that. And those guys are real estate mongrels. The auto industry was just something to play with for them. You know, you have a lot of families that are like that. The Napletons, you know, the Napletons own, you know, I think 37 dealerships across the country, but their big money is in real estate. You know, the big thing in the car business, really, you know, here with the way the economy's coming and with, I believe, smart contracts, it's going to change a lot. Right now, you have a lot of issues in the auto industry, and I'll tell you kind of what's going on, and it's more on the financing aspect than the sales side, right? So when it comes to subprime, right? People want to buy a car, and the car has what's called a wholesale value or a book out value. Right. So let's say you're buying like a Chevy Malibu, and it's pretty base. It's an LT1. It's got power locks, windows, no sunroof. Now you come in and you're a 600 credit score with no money down, and you have a little bit of, you know, maybe you make $30,000, $40,000 a year, $50,000 a year, just enough to be able to get a car loan, right? So you're going to get a high interest rate. But what'll happen is the dealerships do stuff like this, and the customers have no idea. They're completely complacent in this. So what will happen, a desk manager or a finance manager will submit that deal structure to a bank. And what they'll do is they'll add options to that vehicle: navigation, rims and tires, a sunroof. Now that vehicle's worth more money to the bank, so that dealership can ask for a bigger selling price. You follow me? But what ends up happening is when that person defaults on that loan, when the finance company repossesses the vehicle, they go in, they're like, okay, where's the sunroof? Where's the navigation? And right now, Capital One and Santander I think Capital One is getting $600,000 from one dealership in somewhere in St. Louis, I think, or around Missouri last time I read, just because what they call that is power booking cars. You're making the car have a greater value than it really has. So that's a lot of stuff you see. Another thing that you see, especially with the subprime auto industry, and the customers, a lot of them are complacent in this. You know, so you come and you've had, I don't know, let's say you're a 620 credit score and you make $20,000 a year at McDonald's or Starbucks, and you're trying to get a vehicle. Well, if let's say you're like not a 620, but let's say you're like a 650 or 660, you're right on the cusp. Right. So what a lot of consumers don't realize is that when sales managers or finance managers are submitting a deal structure to the bank, it's all based off of an algorithm. There's no physical buyer on the other side that's clicking that button.
Right.
So if I have enough experience, and this is some of the things that happen, and I try to do the best I can to stay away from this because of the way I grew up and some personal reasons, but I'd say about 95% of all subprime buyers get a payment increase at the desk. And what I mean by that is it says that you're a server at McDonald's and you make $20,000 a year. Well, all of a sudden you just got submitted as the manager of McDonald's making $55,000 a year. Now your debt to income ratio and your payment to income ratio are right in line with the bank's guidelines. We submit you like that and the bank approves it automatically. And they don't stip for any type of proof of income or any type of proof of residence, or any of that type of stuff. So we just put you in the car and you go down the road.
Stated income, right? You do stated income and
yeah, and that's a fraudulent loan. If that consumer defaults on the loan, truthfully, the auto dealership is the one that set the fraudulent loan up. But here's what happens. The consumer does a handwritten contract, and then the dealership does an automated contract, and the consumer doesn't pay attention. They walk in the office, the finance manager puts papers in front of it, and I'm telling you, the consumers don't read shit, bro. They don't read nothing. And I'm glad they don't, because it would take way too much time to read everything, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And now the same token, I've had doctors and I've had lawyers, I've had accountants, I've had engineers, I've had judges in my office. And they don't read a damn thing. And I ask them, how come you're not reading shit? because in the state of Illinois, the Attorney General hates car dealerships, and then they just say, I don't have to hire anybody to sue you. I can do it myself.
Wow. Wow.
But literally, yeah.
So what do you think about your, now that's kind of on the finance side of things with these dealerships. I'm looking, I'm a tech guy, so I'm looking at how it's flattening as far as the access to a car, consumer to car sales relationship is flattening, meaning I don't need a dealership anymore. You've got these new companies coming out that you buy a car right on your phone or on your laptop and they drop it right to you. What do you think? How do you think that's going to affect car dealerships going forward with the whole Tesla model, basically?
I don't think it will. I don't think it's really going to affect it very much at all. And I'll give you my reasons. If it was going to hurt the auto industry at all, I think what's the name of it? CarMax.
CarMax.
So now people don't know this. Last year, I think it was 2017. CarMax made 13.88% per quarter on average, and every other major auto industry was either 2% or less or lost money. So CarMax is the most profitable auto group in the auto industry. Period. That's because they own their cars, they own their finance companies, they own their warranties, and they don't have any overhead, and they don't have any real salesmen there. When you go there, the price you see is the price you get. There's no negotiating. Okay, so that's one thing. Okay, and CarMax has never been successful. They've never been a high value dealer. Why? Because they are missing the personal relationship. I don't care about Carvana. I don't.
Carvana. That's it.
Carvana or the other car buying services. I can't stand the one. It's the most unprofitable thing in business. What the hell is the name of it? That car buying service that everybody uses? TrueCar.
Yeah.
That's the other one. Carvana. Here, why aren't they going to be? Why won't those things ever work? Well, one, I want to test drive the car. I want to know. I want that feel good. Customers want to test drive a vehicle. If they don't test drive a vehicle, they don't get the emotions. It doesn't do nothing. That's a big part of the road to the sale. As a sales manager, I will not give my salesman numbers to negotiate with the customer until they've test driven a vehicle.
Now, Grayson, let me just interject real quick because this is what we used to say about online shopping, right?
100%.
I got to feel the clothes. I got to see it. I got to see if I even fit it, if it fits me right.
You're right, and I agree with that. But the difference is nobody's ever negotiated for online clothes, unless with the flop shop.
That's true.
People want to feel that they've gotten a deal. People want to negotiate. That's what human beings do. I mean, look, man, we'll advertise a car as a 2G blower. Customer comes in, we show them invoice. Yeah, we're losing money, literally. Just so you know, yes, the auto industry will lose money on the front end of a car. I've seen as much as $4,000. There's a reason for that, and we can discuss that in a minute. But they will, and I'll show the invoice. And the customer looks at you. I don't care. I want a better deal. I want to feel like I've got something. I'll go across the street to the dealership, and for $50, I'll buy their car. And literally, that's how petty people are. They want to feel like they've gotten a deal. Not only that, right? So you have to negotiate to buy the car. Now, if you have a car buying service, sure, you could go and get your own interest rate from a bank, and there's nothing wrong with that. But here's something that I'm an industry expert for over 20 years. I'm going to tell you right now, I would not buy a modern vehicle without a vehicle service contract, without an extended warranty. If you do, you're absolutely fucking stupid, in my humble opinion. And I'm going to explain why. 1/3 of the country is covered in snow. We go from 20-degree polar vortex to 80% humidity. Most of the cities are using a product called calcium chloride. It's highly corrosive to vehicles, right? We are making electric vehicles. Look at Tesla right now. If you type Tesla in cold weather complaints, you will shit yourself at how many issues they're having. It's because the cars are electrical, okay? Electronics are not made to sit outside for 4, 5, 6 years. They are just not. Okay. You take your Chrysler, the Uconnect, that's a $7,000 system, $5,000 to $7,000 if it goes out. 90% of people don't have, 65% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. If their nav system goes out, they're not replacing it. So what do? They're going to take.
They're going to be riding around like Bird Box movie, not being able to see. They're going to be like.
But they're going to end up paying for it in the long run when they trade the car in. They're not getting out of it. They're going to pay for that.
Right.
So you have that aspect of it, okay? You have all the electronics. Today, a car has more wiring than any of our F1 fighters from the 70s. You know, you start looking at the electronics in the vehicle, you have push button starts. It's about $1,700 just to fix that if your push button start goes out. Everything on a vehicle is electronic. You know, I've had this conversation, and I mean, here, the average finance manager penetration is about 55% in the country. A real good guy is going to sit about 62. I've been as high as 69%, up to 71% on a 3-month run. Warranties are a really big deal. They are a profit margin. Don't get me wrong. You do make money there. But, I've had people that have walked in my office. I can tell you a group of people, the Fishers, really good friends of mine. They were getting screwed over on the front end of the car for about $3,200. They were getting taken advantage of. They didn't know it. Dean came in my office, ended up being a former Navy. I was Navy as myself. We had a personal conversation. I'm a human being, man. I put my pants on well at a time, just like everybody else. Good thing I'm not working for nobody right now, but I have sacrificed me making money to help other people out. I threw the warranty because they had the profit on the front end of the deal. I threw the warranty in for free, and I think the payment went up like $5. So things at times we can do to help people out if we choose. Not everybody's that way. And,
where are we going, Grayson, with the automotive industry? When I mean that, ride share, that's going to cut into demand for automobiles going forward. I see it, man.
Well, here you look at it this way too, right? So you have Chevy is no longer going to manufacture automobiles; they're only doing SUVs.
Yeah,
I believe Ford is cutting down except for the Mustang and I think one other car, and they're going to mostly SUVs. So the way the world's going, I mean, here I think last year, 2017 or 16 was the highest years for automobile sales, something like 17.5 million. Last year was 17.1. You're going to steady see a drop off. You have millennials. So here, are you familiar with UN Agenda 21 by chance?
No.
Okay.
Let the audience know.
That'd be a whole nother show.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to do that on another show. I'm definitely going to have you come back on, bro. Definitely.
What I would do is just Google and like a YouTube video, UN Agenda 21 for Dummies. All right. But long story short, you notice how we're slowly getting into this private property. Community property is bigger than private property is kind of what they're teaching Common Core in schools today. That all comes from the UN. Big high-end areas, you're starting to see bike paths coming in. You're starting to see these modular communities, all these townhouses. The society, by the powers that be, the deep state, they don't want us to have personal property. Personal property is the number one thing to obtain freedom. And if you look right now, and the reason I brought this up is because you got to look at the millennial generation. They're not getting married. They're not buying cars. Don't want to own houses. They're all living in these inner city hubs where restaurants are open 24 hours a day. They have access to everything. They can walk out of their apartment or their building and they're downtown and they're in the middle of everything. And they have access to everything within an Uber, within a Lyft, within a taxi, whatever it may be. So yes, I agree. The auto industry is going to go down. And why you got smart contracts coming out. And when that stuff happens and it hits the auto industry, you're going to have less, they're going to have less profit. So the profit margins are going to go down dramatically.
Right.
Then with all the power booking that's going on in the subprime industry, what's going to happen is the banks are going to start coming down even harder on the dealerships, and it's going to make it harder for them to make money off the financing aspect. So generally, you can mark a rate up about 2.5%. And then you have a handful of banks right now that are just giving you a flat and paying you a 1 to 3% flat. So the buy rate on the deal is 4.59 or something. I can't mark the rate up, but depending on the overall loan balance, they may be paying me a 1, 2, or 3% on the back end. You follow me?
Yeah.
So the rate markups and a lot of things that are happening are just are going away. The industry is changing as a whole, and it's changing very, very fast. In 2000, prior to 2008, you had about 4 to 7% markup in a vehicle. Today, you're lucky if you have 3%. And this is the God's honest truth. If you sell a Jeep Patriot at sticker, you lose about $300. When you take into cost, overhead, advertising, it costs about $350, $375 just to get a customer in the dealership with advertising and digital marketing and everything.
Wow, man, that's good info to know, man. And we're gonna continue this conversation for sure. I'm gonna have you come back on, Grayson. Wonderful time speaking with you, man. I'm glad we made it happen. Couldn't do it yesterday. Daughter was sick. She's getting better now, but yeah, man, I'm glad to have you on. We're gonna talk some other stuff when I have you back on, maybe more along the lines of the agenda you were talking about, and just, you know, just this world in general, where we're headed, and how we can position ourselves to profit from this.
100%, man. 100%.
So,
you know, for sure, dude. I'd love to be back on with you. We got a few things that obviously we can talk about for sure, man.
Absolutely. Again, guys, Grayson Ludo, my man, on Twitter. He's following me on Twitter. I think he's also a YouTube subscriber. Thank you guys again for this Kicking It session. Let me know your feedback about Grayson on today. I really enjoyed him. If you want to have him back on, you guys just let me know in the comments below. It's your boy Crypto Blood, and thanks for checking in with this Kicking It session. We out of here. Holla.